What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pick Swap Media YouTube channel. My name is Barnard, and I'm back as usual. The Sixers are back in action after the All-Star break. Got the All-Star game over. Got the Mac McClung dunk contest over. Past the midway point of the season, the Sixers sitting at 38-19 and back in action for just a brutal stretch of games. And I'm here to take a little bit of a look ahead and talk about why James Harden will be the make or break key for this Sixers team. Let's get it.
Check it out.
Step back, James Harden, right on target. Bang, bang, George Niang to Paul Reed from Tyrese Maxey.
Joel
All right, so to kick things off and get one thing out of the way, it is very clear that the James Harden that has arrived in Philadelphia is not the James Harden of the Houston Rockets. He never will be, and that is okay. In fact, I think it has swung to the point where people are even undervaluing the player that James Harden is because he's not that MVP caliber player that he once was on a year after year basis. I mean, looking at his numbers, he is one of 3 active players in the NBA to rank in the top 30 in points scored and assists. That's just a rare combo and something that is a massive credit to his development to go from a guy who was once the most elite one-on-one scorer in the NBA to now probably the most advanced passer across the entire sport of basketball. Seeing him execute passes that others can't even identify is so crucial to the Sixers team and any player that Harden plays with. So as the Sixers team is currently constructed, it's very clear that his biggest role is as a playmaker. He's the point guard of this offense. He's the key to unlocking things. He's a major reason why Joel Embiid has taken these steps forward to be the leading scorer in the NBA last season and being right in the running once again. Harden is that elite playmaker. They're a pick and roll combo. He throws that pocket pass. He can make entry passes, and he unlocks Embiid as well as the rest of these Sixers teammates. Guys like George Niang have taken strides forward by having more ample catch and shoot opportunities, being hit right in the shooting pocket and being able to go right up with it. Players like D'Anthony Melton benefiting. Tyrese Maxey saw his scoring numbers burst and explode once James Harden arrived. So that is the biggest factor in James Harden game. However, as we look forward to the playoffs, he's going to need to do more than just be a playmaker. And there have been plenty of nights throughout the season where he has answered this call, where that has been the case. However, if it is the same version of James Harden that arrived in last season's playoffs, the Sixers are in some trouble. Now, to start with, Joel Embiid is absolutely the focal point of this Sixers team. This is his team. This is his era. Everything is constructed around him. And for the first season of his entire career, things are fully built around optimizing Joel. There is no longer the Ben Simmons elephant in the room, the guy that just doesn't quite fit, throwing that square peg in a round hole over and over and trying to make it work, and it didn't. And that's why people have been so excited about this James Harden trade. It obviously has aged as a complete steal for the Sixers. You look at the version of Ben Simmons that arrived in Brooklyn, which is a worse player than he ever was in a Sixers uniform, and it's almost reaching a point where it's sad how mentally broken and just not the same guy that he is. But the Sixers are absolutely satisfied sitting here with a James Harden, a 33-year-old James Harden, who still can hoop to the fullest extent. Now, James Harden was pretty good when he arrived in Philadelphia last year. He definitely was an upgrade, obviously, over the non-factor that Ben Simmons was as he completed his holdout and stayed away from the team. He provided a positive burst to the team, but he really has taken a stride forward this year. I mean, you can tell the burst looks different. He's taken strides forward in every statistical category. And looking at his averages on the season, averaging 21.4 points, 10.8 assists, which leads the NBA, 6.2 rebounds, shooting 38.9% on three-point attempts while launching 7.2 per game. That is nearly a career high for James Harden. His career high three-point percentage is 39.0%, which he did back in 2011, 2012 with the Oklahoma City Thunder. His career average from beyond the three-point arc is 36.2%. So there's a chance that he hits a little bit of a cold stretch and his numbers dip a little towards the second half of the season, and people should not press the panic button on it. And frankly, it's not that much of a difference between 38.9 and 36.2. That's a couple made for three-pointers here and there. So if there is a little cold stretch, don't panic for Harden as long as it comes in the regular season. Now, the issue with Harden lies dating back to last year's postseason. And yes, there was the one game where Harden answered the call, and these complaints do not apply to him, where against the Heat, where he hit a dagger three and he did his thing, was able to deliver. But for the most part, he just was too much of a non-factor. And so much of it, I am now generally bought into, had to do with the hamstring, his inability to create separation, which is the root of his scoring ability and has been throughout his entire career. That dynamic ability to whether create the distance on the step back three or blow by a guy and get it attacking to the rim or to the free throw line if that's how things end up. But that did not look to be the case in last year's playoffs. And looking at his numbers, averaged just 18.6 points, 8.6 assists, and 5.7 rebounds. Those were a step back in every statistical category based on what he was producing in the regular season. And there is this reputation around Harden that he is this playoff choker. I will say this Rockets team that he built in Houston along with Daryl Morey does not get as much credit as they necessarily deserve. Going up against that buzzsaw of the Golden State Warriors year after year, the fact that Harden almost single-handedly pushed them to 7 games and went to, almost going to the actual NBA Finals is impressive. But it is a results-based world that we live in, and the bottom line is he did not get it done. So he has that reputation as, a playoff choker, however the words come across. And unfortunately, there is some weight to that. Looking at these stats, these are his regular season career averages versus playoff career averages. In the regular season, averaging 24.8 points per game. In the postseason, averaging 22.9 points per game. In the regular season, 7.0 assists. In the playoffs, 6.2 assists. For 5.6 in the regular season, 5.5 in the playoffs. And the shooting splits are where things kind of stand out to me. Shooting 36.2% from beyond the three-point arc, which I mentioned in the regular season, just 33.5% from beyond the three-point arc in the playoffs. And from the field as a whole, shooting 44.2% from the field in the regular season and 42.6% in the playoffs. So that efficiency thing is the biggest thing for me. I mean, we've seen him take a massive stride forward in his efficiency with the Sixers team this year. That is why the production is there. It has not been more shots, has not been more volume. He's just delivered more on these same opportunities that he got, and that's huge, and that has to continue. Because thinking about how this is going to play out, I know Joel Embiid catches a lot of heat. It really has not been on him as much as it's been made out to be in the playoffs. He's dealt with a variety of frustrating and just strange and bizarre injuries. I mean, we're talking about him breaking his face on Markelle Schultz's folder, or catching an elbow from Pascal Siakam and breaking his face then, or having stomach pains and being in the hospital the night before a game. He's battled the torn meniscus, the torn ligament in the thumb. Like, there's been a number of just strange and frustrating issues that have prevented him from being 100%. Health is the biggest thing. As long as he's healthy, the Sixers have a chance. And when he is on court, assuming that is the case, I have confidence in him to deliver. But there are things that can be done when preventing getting the ball to him because he's a big man. We know this is a guard and wing oriented NBA in today's day and age. Joel Embiid is one of the rare big men that has adapted and still has the ability to dominate, because he has these guard-like skills where he's able to create his own shot on the perimeter. That mid-range shot is going to be money in the postseason, regardless of who's guarding it. And I love that that's become such a staple of his game, because those are postseason shots. As much as analytics want to point to whether at the rim or three-point shot and the influence of three-point shot, you kind of got to take what the defense gives you when it comes to playoffs. And that mid-range is kind of what ends up being there. So for Embiid to have the ability to walk into it, and we've seen Harden develop this aspect of his game this year as well, those are key, and those are going to come into play come playoff time. And as I was mentioning, there are things that can be done from a defense to prevent Joel from getting his touches, because he is a post-oriented player. Guards who are able to just dribble the ball up, create the set that they want. And while Embiid does do it at times, he is at his best when kind of creating out of his post, operates in the mid elbow a lot. Teams have literally sat on him with 2 or 3 guys before the ball even gets here. That's why the supporting cast is so key, and why the role players are so important on the Sixers team. And that also leaves a big chunk of shots that are to be desired. And that is where James Harden comes in. Because if the defense is taking that much attention to block out Joel Embiid, James Harden has to capitalize. And no, I know that I said he's not the MVP version of himself that he once was, but he has to be able to carry an offense at stretches of time and deliver for this Sixers team. So that will be the make or break for this Sixers team. When there is that sliver of sections where Joel cannot get the ball or cannot be touched, can Harden do enough to carry the load, bring him through, and deliver? And I don't care if that's the step back three, if that's him getting to the rim, if that's just breaking down the defense, creating open three-pointers. That is Harden's responsibility within this team to carry the load, and we need to make it happen. Is there confidence that it will be? That's what's to be determined. I've been very happy with what I've seen from Harden this year. I've been encouraged with the difference in burst. I mean, we've seen him of late being almost calling people out off one-on-one on the dribble. And we're talking some legitimate defenders. Against the Cavs games, he's taking guys like Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley off the dribble. And for sure, he's quicker, and these are big men, but these are high caliber defenders and guys that are bordering on all-stars, bordering on all NBA. Evan Mobley, I do believe, is going to go down as possibly an all-time great defender if he fully puts the pieces together. James Harden being able to create separation on guys like that is super intriguing. It's super great to see, but it has to continue come postseason. And there's all these whispers of the future of James Harden, whether he's heading back to Houston, whether he wants out of Philly. Obviously took the pay cut coming into this year so they could sign whoever was needed for a postseason run. I'm sure he is not thrilled with the results of who came by virtue of the money that he gave up. When we're talking about guys like Montrezl Harrell, PJ Tucker, who I still do believe is going to play a key part in this playoff run and has stepped up as late. But guys like Daniel House will not. Guys like Dwayne Dedman, who knows? So Harden, I wouldn't surprise me if there's some mixed feelings about how that went down. But his desire when coming to Philadelphia, as he talked about, was his initial goal before even being traded to Brooklyn, is to win a championship. He has no ring on his finger, and that is kind of the missing piece on his all-time great legacy and resume that he has. He's going to have no better chance than this year to deliver as a key member of a team and win a championship. The Sixers are one of the top 3 teams in the East, one of the top 5 contenders in the NBA, and they have a true chance of contending if they put the pieces together. A good deal of that responsibility is now on James Harden to figure it out. So if he wants to squash that narrative as a playoff choker, if he wants to squash that narrative of a guy who doesn't win big games, it is down to this year to make it happen. He has every opportunity in front of him to make it the case, and the Sixers need to see it happen. So as much as Joel Embiid is going to catch heat, as much as Doc Rivers is going to become a scapegoat, as much as the role players will matter, it is on James Harden to step up and make sure that he delivers in the way that the team needs. Thank you guys for tuning in. Drop a like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about that, if you have confidence in James Harden being able to carry this load, and I will talk with you next time.